for my real fans. I got caught up with a little Zan. Couldn't stop me, but it slowed me though. Yeah, nigga famous, you don't know me though. But their DJ still play me though. Them I don't even need the radio. Cause my new shit sound like a rodeo. Got the old folks dance on the dope. So they fuck around, sign me the OVO. Ooh, I just might share my next one with Keith. Got the industry in disbelief. They be asking for beef. This what it sound like when God split an atom with me. I even had Steve giving out apples for free.
They was talking, woo, this is what the band. City so damn great, I feel like Alexander. Wear your halo like a hat, that's like the latest fashion. I got angels all around me, they keep me surrounded.
Who is you and who the fuck is you and who is them? All of a sudden, who up the bam? You can't touch me, nah, 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 nah. I got angels. I got angels. I ain't changed my number since the 7th grade. This from my day one, 10 years, 7 days. A week niggas never tired on their Kevin Gates. And if they rest in peace, they bunny hop in heaven's gates. It's too many young angels on the south side. Got us scared to let our grandmamas outside. You gon' make me take the campus way downtown. You gon' make me turn my BM to my house wide. I just had a pro.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sierra McKissick, and I'm the Public Programs Coordinator at the Hyde Park Art Center. And welcome to our virtual Center Sundays. This month, we're doing a teen takeover. We're really excited to have the whole program entirely curated today by our Youth Advisory Board at the Hyde Park Art Center. I'm going to have a great roster of programs for you all today. We have a walkthrough of our upcoming teen exhibition, Next Window, Please. We also have an interview with one of our artists, Tzoe Rivera, about her artist practice at home. We have Amir Johnson, who's going to be showcasing his documentary snippets and talking about his practice and video work. And we also have an interview with Dr. Walter Massey, very ubiquitously involved in the Chicago artist community, amongst many other things. Check his Wikipedia. It's got a lot to say for his career and work in Chicago and elsewhere. But for now, I'm going to introduce Alex Herrera, who runs our teen programs at the Hyde Park Art Center.
Hey everybody, welcome to our very first teen takeover as part of the virtual Center Sundays. As Sierra mentioned, we have a pretty substantial amount of content that our teens have created for you all, and predominantly showing a lot of what is in the teen exhibition right now, which is currently up and will be available for public viewing very soon. The exhibition is Next Window, Please. Showcases work from over 32 teens in our programs from 2019 to 2020. And a large portion of that work is work that teens were doing at home. All of our teen programs traditionally are at the Art Center in person. We have 6 programs. Those continued on virtually since March of last year until now. So it's been a great feat for a lot of our teens to learn how it is to have a studio practice at home while having our mentors and teaching artists, which remained on the roster and in the lives of our teens during at-home learning. Teen programs are free programs at the Hyde Park Art Center. They're all after school. And our teens are involved in photography, digital photography, in murals and art shop, as well as the Youth Board of Artists, which is our group that created this program today. In addition to Tea, which is our Tea Hangouts, which are activated on our Instagram, which I invite you all to follow. It's where all of our teens are using that as a hub to connect with the teen community, just outside of email, which is a lot of what they're also just doing, is a lot of email, Zooms, and Instagram. So please follow us there. You'll be able to check out all the things that our teens are up to. Our teens, like I said, are running virtually, but we take rolling admission. So if anybody here knows of any high school youth that's interested in continuing their art practice, experimenting, doing something completely new, programming events like this, definitely give us a shout and we'll connect you with our teens and other opportunities that may come up. Thanks, Sierra.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you, thank you. So I'm really excited to showcase what we have here for you today. We have an exhibition walkthrough of our exhibition at the Hyde Park Art Center, which will open when our building is back open to the public. News on that to come. And for now, I'm going to share my screen so that you all can see the great work that the artists have put in and hear directly from them about the work that's featured also. Thank you so much for coming.
The art on view was made by teens from the Art Center after-school programs during the 2019-2020 academic year. The exhibition titled Next Window Please is borrowed from a photograph taken during the spring 2020 advanced photo class of a drive-through window filled with notes asking customers to move forward. The photograph and title speak to our collective desire to get past the current moment into our new relationship with windows, be they physical, metaphorical, or digital, that keep us safe and connected at the same time. What unifies the work in the exhibition is the young artist's core value of solidarity, community care, and self-love, which shine through the work on view.
My name is Darius Donald. I'm a senior at Kenwood Academy, and I'm also a photographer. As you can see, this is one of my works right here, and with this work, I wanted to basically expound upon a muse, and my muse was a black woman, and that's why I titled this piece "The Disrespecting Muse." I wanted to basically express how black women are oftentimes disrespected and not seen as equal as everybody in society. So I wanted to capture the beauty and the essence of what a black woman is, and seeing that I'm always surrounded by black women with my grandmother and my sister and my mom. I started photography when I stumbled upon the Hyde Park Art Center, and I wasn't really involved in photography or the art scene, but once I got into it, I couldn't really stop, and it also kind of moved over to me being at Kenwood when I started doing photography classes with Mr. Ryman. When I'm putting together a picture and I'm setting up a frame, I always first thing I think about is lighting and how that kind of changes the face, because if you can change the lighting structure, you can change somebody's whole face and how they look by certain lighting. So one thing I really want to do is just see how the light around them complements their skin tone, and this goes for any model I use. With me being a new age photographer, I love digital. I would love to also switch to film, but right now, due to like circumstances, I'm basically just focused on digital and kind of mimicking film, which you can also see in this picture right here. I always wanted to be my own muse with my work, but it's just it's very stressful, and I see how models feel like being a muse all the time. It's very time consuming, and just trying to understand how to pose and stuff like that. So I will eventually become my own muse, but at this moment, I'm just focusing on bringing out the beauty of other people. Honestly, I find beauty in anything, and I can just look at something random and just somehow pick something out that's beautiful. And I feel as if once you make the person or like the subject that you're shooting feel beautiful, you can capture that. Like, let's say I'm taking a picture of somebody, I might compliment them. Once you make that compliment and kind of expound upon their beauty, they understand it, and they kind of go hand in hand, and they feel beautiful. So the beauty is going to come out in the photography also. I want to photograph this model. Her name is can't think of her name, but she goes by Phoenix. She's a really nice model. She's an amputee, and I just feel as if I'm able to kind of expound upon her beauty, that would be like a nice milestone for myself. And for certain companies I want to work with or just kind of collab with, it would be Lyrical Lemonade. I feel as if they hold the whole culture in Chicago and kind of culture and music and hip hop, and I feel as if I can really add something to what they're going for. And another person I want to work with is Kim Products, which is a clothing brand I'm wearing right now, and just trying to, I don't know, try something new. Like I said before, I wasn't into the art community before I kind of stumbled upon this building. So I feel as if they kind of just gave me a chance to kind of, me being an athlete and me not knowing anything about art, they kind of like just took me in and kind of showed me certain things, and now I can call myself an artist, and I can call myself a photographer because of the certain things I've learned here. I've learned how to respect art and kind of look at art a different way, how other people might look at art.
Hi, my name is Bianca Sly. I'm a student at Kenwood, and I've been going to the Art Center for about a year now. Started out in the photography program, but I was more passionate about painting and sculpting, so I've more transitioned into art shop along with YBA. So these are 3 pieces. I like to think of them as kind of heavenly bodies. I did these 2 at the beginning of quarantine, and I did this one maybe 4 months ago. I was inspired by the planets along with myself and women in general and what it means to be feminine. Femininity means a lot of different things to me. I think there's no right or wrong way to be feminine, but for me, I feel like it, just within myself, has to do with brightness and color and light. I think that women and feminine people in general just give off a lot of color, and that's why colors are bursting from this piece, which is a woman's bodice. I also feel like women are also very intertwined with the planets, especially the moon, which is why they kind of go together for me. I kind of considered that when I made these 2 pieces because I made them at the same time. And I really wanted to work with textures, which is why I used modeling base to make like the swirls along with the lines. I like how that brings out kind of feelings within the work, and you can feel it, and like you can feel it physically along with how it feels in your mind and how you look at it. I also use that for the bottom of this piece, and I like that the colors all go together. A lot of women in my life have inspired me. Kind of every woman that I've ever met inspires me because they're all so different and they all just take on being a woman in different ways. My mom is obviously a huge inspiration to me about being a woman and being a strong woman, along with being an independent woman, along with just a lot of matriarchal figures that I've had in my life, from teachers to family to extended family. People my age inspire me as well because as like times change, how people express themselves change, especially how women express themselves, that changes so often. So yeah, I'm inspired by a lot of different women. My number 1 word of advice for being a woman and being feminine or just being true to yourself is not to compare yourself to others. That is the main downfall, whether you're talking about how you express yourself, how you feel about yourself, how you feel about things going on around you, or how you make art or want to step into art, because it will be the death of you. I also think that you should not think too much about things, because thinking too much will cloud what's really there inside, and it can sometimes make outside forces taint what you really want to do. I think that, yeah, I just think that you should stay true to what you think without letting other people affect what you want to do too much.
My name is Zoe Sky or Zoe Rivera, either one is fine. These are some photographs I took over quarantine when we were kind of just like stuck in the house, and it's definitely focused on like femininity, and also like the flowers represent like life and like new beginnings, and also there's like dead flowers in the back as well, which kind of like represent like becoming, or like the death of like, I don't know, like your old self. The process was it was kind of hard because I don't have a camera. Well, now I do, but when I was taking them, I don't have a camera, so I was doing it off my phone, and I didn't like really have that many materials to work with because I was just like in my house. But I definitely made it work. Like I found like a ring light, and like I was like stacking a bunch of books to like have my phone like against like something to like hold it up. But it was definitely hard, but I feel like I really liked the outcome, and I mean, it worked out in the end. There's a lot of limitations just like being in the house and like not being able to be around people. Like I feel like I really wanted, I had just started getting into photography, and I wanted to like capture other people, but I was kind of just like stuck in my own space. So I kind of just had to like work with what I had and make the best of my space. I think my work will change drastically just even being inside. Like I've grown so much as an artist, and I think quarantine was really like a changing point for me in my art, and just like I think working with what I had was like super humbling, and it made me more like creative and more like useful of my materials, if that makes sense. And I think like once everything opens back up, I will grow even more as an artist because I'll have more materials to work with, and I'll be able to take photos of like other people and just, do like more creative projects like this. Artists that inspired me, oh, so many. But definitely for this piece, it was Frida Kahlo, like by far. And even like the hair, I just kind of wanted to like capture like that, I don't know, like raw femininity. I've just always been really inspired by her. She's a Mexican artist, and I'm also Mexican, and I don't know, I really just love her art and was definitely inspired for that. I'm woman. I'm woman. I bleed when the moon shows her face, she guides me. My hips sway to the sounds of nature. The girl I once was speaks to me, but only on nights like this. Nights when I realize I've lost her. In search of her voice, her energy fills the room. She is familiar again. But when the moon goes into hiding and the sun shines upon my face once more, I am woman. I kind of just wanted to create a poem that goes with the photographs and like just, I don't know, like capture like what it is to be a woman, and also like my pride in being a woman.
Hi, my name is Kylie Hawks, and I'd say my portraiture tends to be of people around me, and those people are mainly people of color or black individuals. And through this one project where you see two images of the two young men, I kind of wanted to touch in on the lack of freedom, I guess, that comes with masculinity, and maybe black young men trying to grow into their masculinity, and the lack of emotional freedom that comes with that. And so here I kind of also took reference to the movie Moonlight, with being at the beach and then using the glitter as teardrops to signify their value, and the value in being emotional and vulnerable, especially as black men in our society. And with this other image of my friend that you see is actually a film print, and it is a part of a project where I wanted to photograph black femmes or black women in their places of comfort. And here we are in my bedroom, where I guess that can attest to our years and years of friendship and all the conversations and all the memories that we would recall in my bedroom. And yeah, that image is actually really special to me.
Right, a little sneak peek at the next talk. Thank you so much for viewing our exhibition walkthrough. We have a couple of our teens here today in case anyone has any questions for them or comments about the work. Definitely want to give a special shout out to Alexis Thomas, one of our teens who's a videographer who created the video that you just saw. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Feel free to ask them out loud or put them in the chat.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, if no one else wants to speak up, why don't I ask, is her name Tzoe?
Yes, Zoe is here.
Question.
Yeah, feel free to ask your question.
Um, I actually am a professor in Springfield, and I was wondering if she could tell us a bit about how she learned about Frida, if she learned about Frida Kahlo in school. So I'm wondering if teens learn about Frida Kahlo, while they're going through school, because I agree she's an amazing artist, and Oh, I think some of my students don't know who she is.
Yeah, I can definitely attest to that. I was wearing a shirt with Frida when I was working with some teens, and they thought the shirt was cool, but they had no idea who she was. So I would love to hear from Tzoe about how you got into Frida.
Yeah, of course. So, I remember when I was little, my parents, I mean, we would read a lot, and I had a book, and it was about Frida Kahlo. It was a picture book, and I remember just loving the artwork in it, and it was also just like a biography about her, I think. So, like, I just learned a lot about her in that book, and I just remember feeling really inspired by her work and just like her story in general. So yeah.
Thank you for sharing, Zoe. Yeah,
You-
this story is super amazing. She went through a lot of tumultuous things and turmoil and like was able to persevere and make work that we're all still enjoying and seeing today. Do we have any other questions? Feel free to also ask our youth advisory board mentors, Alex, and I believe that
Jared and Mia.
also here. If you want to learn more about the teen programs or the exhibition.
Well, I'll ask another question.
Thank you, Hinta.
So, could you tell us a bit about what some of the challenges have been doing this in the middle of COVID, but also if you've seen some special opportunities or ways that people have really had to think about how to do art and work with each other during the pandemic?
So I can speak from, I mean, definitely an administrative standpoint. Jared and Mia could also chime in as they work with the teens directly or virtually in the program. Um, but I mean, yeah, it's been hard for a lot of us. And besides being in our house and connecting through a screen, 2020 had a lot of eventful and just painful things that we were also trying to navigate, that our teens are also trying to navigate. And I mean, they're still happening today. So um, a lot of what a lot of what we were focused on shifted from what we usually would do is making art, being hands-on, being in the studio, to using these spaces as safe havens and environments that would encourage teens to feel empowered to discuss things together, have that camaraderie together, um, and really just kind of think through and process through what's going on. Um, Darius asks if we can hear Darius. I cannot hear you, Darius, but maybe you could chime in too. Like, yeah, as a teen, how have you also sort of navigated, or how has your art shifted since going in this direction?
All right. Coming from like an artist standpoint and a youth standpoint, I kind of see myself as like kind of finding where my work stands in the art world. Like when this pandemic first started with the Black Lives Matter movement started this year, it was kind of one of those things where I felt as if I wasn't really doing my due diligence within like the art community and kind of like speaking on the certain stuff that was happening. So that's when I took it upon myself to kind of like, I guess you could say, shift my work and kind of do more work that has a meaning towards it. So that's why I created the whole little disrespected muse piece, which is basically me giving my 2 cents about how I feel about Black women, and I feel as if they should be more um, appreciated, and I feel as if they should be put on a pedestal for all they do for the world. So it was one of those things, just finding where I exist in the world and kind of trying to contribute the best I can. Seeing I wasn't able to go outside and I was limited to a lot of resources. So just finding myself and seeing exactly where I stand and seeing what I can do was basically the main thing I was trying to put myself through.
I can also say some input, I guess, for a teen perspective. I'm Kylie, by the way, and I'd say that for me, at least as a darkroom photographer, I had to, well, since I didn't have access to a darkroom for much of like COVID, I had to basically reach outside my comfort zone. And with that, I explored different mediums like painting and drawing and more so into digital work. And I guess even though like our world was like limited in quarantine, I had to expand outside my comfort zone, which has been something I'm grateful for.
Thank you for sharing, Kylie and Darius. It's nice to hear kind of the teen perspective about participating. I know it definitely isn't ideal to be in a room all day or, taking classes or courses or interacting with folks online. So having been able to do that and create like an entire exhibition, do organizing work this summer and like writing letters to hold institutions accountable and whatnot has been really profound work. So I hope that you all are really proud of yourself for navigating this time that adults are having a hard time navigating as well too. I also have more images from the exhibition if anyone would like to see some of the work a bit more closely. And if any of the teens whose work is presented wants to share or give any background info about the pieces, I'm going to share my screen now. All right, are you all able to see this?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, great. So I'll go through some of the images here. A lot of the photography was taken at some of the protests and rallies that were happening this summer too. People that were close to them, and we also have some really great artwork as well. Yeah, admit some folks in. The waves, I love it. And a lot of these photos are taken digitally, correct? Do we have any film photographers who are part of? I know Derek is interested in learning film, and also the photographer who was talking about the two women and the two black men as well was shot in film.
Oh, yeah, I have one image that's in film, but
These pieces are also in film. The ones previously, Sierra, they're by an artist, Stavia Endo. She's currently now a freshman at SAIC. But these pieces are also on view in the exhibition. The video that was created by Alexis that you guys all saw really is just a glimpse of just a few of the pieces that are displayed now. But there are over 35 pieces that are on exhibit. And we're excited to have some ticketing processes for public viewing soon.
And we'll have a couple of days of week as well as some evenings and a weekend day that we will be open so that people can come and check out. We have 3 exhibitions opening, so we're really excited to
Damn it, is it Paul? God damn it.
I'm not sure who it is, but oh, there we go. Sorry about that. But yeah, this
Yeah,
is some of the work.
these pieces are by an artist. She's not in the room, Sky Wang. So Sky is a part of our advanced teen track. We do have a intensive program that runs for 2 years. Selective enrollment, you have to submit a portfolio and go through a process to be a part of that program. But Sky joined in August and has not been to the art center, like physically, like had never been, has not been, and got into the program and has now been involved with us virtually. So it's been really interesting, and kind of going back to Hinda's question about like how have things changed. We've gotten a lot of teen participants from all over the city, which has been a silver lining to the situation because most of our teen community is coming from the South Side, Hyde Park area, Woodlawn, Kenwood, even further south and west of the city. We wouldn't really get a lot of teens from the North Side or Rogers Park or Cragen area because they're much farther. So it's been really cool to see just teens connecting and having the barrier, right? Not having that barrier of commuting or getting to a program, that they are still able to get in touch and give each other feedback and make art and have our mentors all in one space online. So Sky is one of those teens who is at Walter Payton High School and has been doing these really amazing, really just like intricate, rich digital illustrations as part of the advanced teen track portfolio.
Thank you so much for sharing this information, Alex. Yeah, like that as well. A lot of our public programs have been able to reach a different audience for accessibility, and people can join in from any and everywhere. So we're glad that we've been able to continue our virtual center Sunday, bring the art center to people's home. It's a mixture of programs, generally from residency artists that we have in our building who are doing programs, whether it be a studio visit or a presentation about their practice. We also have exhibition events and sneak peeks and videos of that as well, and community partnerships. So projects that are taking place in the community, giving our platform for sharing of those projects and initiatives. And we also have art making activities. So a number of things that people can engage with using items around their home to create something tangible that you can save and create, put up on the fridge, or engage with tough conversations with that as well. And all of our content from our YouTube channel, so you can catch back all the way back to March if you've missed them and joined in. I know we have some new folks who have just joined the room, and we do have a bit more time in our hour before our next program starts at 2 p.m. That will be a talk with Tzoe Rivera about her practice and her at-home practice, so stay tuned for that. But I can show the video of the walkthrough again for folks who have just joined in case you missed it. Gonna pull that up now.
The art on was made by teens from the Art Center's after-school programs during the 2019-2020 academic year. The exhibition titled Next Window Please is borrowed from a photograph taken during the spring 2020 advanced photo class of a drive-through window filled with notes asking customers to move forward. The photograph entitled Speak to Our Collective Desire to Get Past the Current Moment into Our New Relationship with Windows, be they physical, metaphorical, or digital, that keep us safe and connected at the same time. What unifies the work in the exhibition is the young artist's core value of solidarity, community care, and self-love, which shine through the work on view.
My name is Donald. I'm a senior at Kenwood Academy, and I'm also a photographer. As you can see, this is one of my works right here, and with this work, I wanted to basically expound upon a muse, and my muse was a black woman, and that's why I titled this piece, The Disrespecting Muse. I wanted to basically express how black women are oftentimes disrespected and not seen as equal as everybody in society. So I wanted to capture the beauty and essence of what a black woman is, seeing that I'm always surrounded by black women with my grandmother and my sister and my mom. I started photography when I stumbled upon the Hyde Park Art Center, and I wasn't really involved in photography or the art scene, but once I got into it, I couldn't really stop, and it also kind of moved over to me being at Kenwood when I started doing photography classes with Mr. Ryman. When I'm putting together a picture and I'm setting up a frame, I always first thing I think about is lighting and how that kind of changes the face, because if you can change the lighting structure, you can change somebody's whole face and how they look by certain lighting. So one thing I really want to do is just see how the light around them complements their skin tone, and this goes for any model I use. With me being a new age photographer, I love digital. I would love to also switch to film, but right now, due to like circumstances, I'm basically just focused on digital and kind of mimicking film, which you can also see in this picture right here. I always wanted to be my own muse with my work, but it's just it's very stressful, and I see how models feel like being a muse all the time. It's very time consuming, and just trying to understand how to pose and stuff like that. So I will eventually become my own muse, but at this moment, I'm just focusing on bringing out the beauty of other people. Honestly, I find beauty in anything, and I can just look at something random and just somehow pick something out that's beautiful. And I feel as if once you make the person or like the subject that you're shooting feel beautiful, you can capture that. Like, let's say I'm taking a picture of somebody, I might compliment them. Once you make that compliment and kind of expound upon their beauty, they understand it, and they kind of go hand in hand, and they feel beautiful. So the beauty is going to come out in the photography also. I want to photograph this model. Her name is can't think of her name, but she goes by Phoenix. She's a really nice model. She's an amputee, and I just feel as if I'm able to kind of expound upon her beauty, that would be like a nice milestone for myself. And for certain companies I want to work with or just kind of collab with, it would be Lyrical Lemonade. I feel as if they hold the whole culture in Chicago and kind of culture and music and hip hop, and I feel as if I can really add something to what they're going for. And another person I want to work with is Kim Products, which is a clothing brand I'm wearing right now, and just trying to, try something new. Like I said before, I wasn't into the art community before I kind of stumbled upon this building. So I feel as if they kind of just gave me a chance to kind of, me being an athlete and me not knowing anything about art, they kind of like just took me in and kind of showed me certain things, and now I can call myself an artist, and I can call myself a photographer because of the certain things I've learned here. I've learned how to respect art and kind of look at art a different way, how other people might look at art.
Hi, my name is Bianca Sly. I'm a student at Kenwood, and I've been going to the Art Center for about a year now. Started out in the photography program, but I was more passionate about painting and sculpting, so I've more transitioned into art shop along with YBA. So these are 3 pieces. I like to think of them as kind of heavenly bodies. I did these 2 at the beginning of quarantine, and I did this one maybe 4 months ago. I was inspired by the planets along with myself and women in general and what it means to be feminine. Femininity means a lot of different things to me. I think there's no right or wrong way to be feminine, but for me, I feel like it, just within myself, has to do with brightness and color and light. I think that women and feminine people in general just give off a lot of color, and that's why colors are bursting from this piece, which is a woman's bodice. I also feel like women are also very intertwined with the planets, especially the moon, which is why they kind of go together for me. I kind of considered that when I made these 2 pieces because I made them at the same time. And I really wanted to work with textures, which is why I use modeling base to make like the swirls along the lines. I like how that brings out kind of feelings within the work, and you can feel it, and like you can feel it physically along with how it feels in your mind and how you look at it. I also use that for the bottom of this piece, and I like that the colors all go together. A lot of women in my life have inspired me. Kind of every woman that I've ever met inspires me because they're all so different, and they all just take on being a woman in different ways. My mom is obviously a huge inspiration to me about being a woman and being a strong woman, along with being an independent woman, along with just a lot of matriarchal figures that I've had in my life, from teachers to family to extended family. People my age inspire me as well, because as like times change, how people express themselves change, especially how women express themselves. That changes so often. So yeah, I'm inspired by a lot of different women. My number one word of advice for being a woman and being feminine, or just being true to yourself, is not to compare yourself to others. That is the main downfall, whether you're talking about how you express yourself, how you feel about yourself, how you feel about things going on around you, or how you make art or want to step into art, because it will be the death of you. I also think that you should not think too much about things, because thinking too much will cloud what's really there inside, and it can sometimes make outside forces taint what you really want to do. I think that, yeah, I just think that you should stay true to what you think without letting other people affect what you want to do too much.
My name is Zoe Sky, or Zoe Rivera, either one is fine. These are some photographs I took over quarantine when we were kind of just like stuck in the house. And it's definitely focused on like femininity, and also like the flowers represent like life and like new beginnings, and also there's like dead flowers in the back as well, which kind of like represent like becoming, or like the death of like, I don't know, like your old self. The process was it was kind of hard because I don't have a camera. Well, now I do, but when I was taking them, I don't have a camera, so I was doing it off my phone, and I didn't like really have that many materials to work with because I was just like in my house. But I definitely made it work. Like I found like a ring light, and like I was like stacking a bunch of books to like have my phone like against like something to like hold it up. But it was definitely hard, but I feel like I really liked the outcome, and I mean, it worked out in the end. There's a lot of limitations, just like being in the house and like not being able to be around people. Like I feel like I really wanted, I had just started getting into photography, and I wanted to like capture other people, but I was kind of just like stuck in my own space. So I kind of just had to like work with what I had and make the best of my space. I think my work will change drastically, just even being inside. Like, I've grown so much as an artist, and I think quarantine was really like a changing point for me in my art, and just like, I think working with what I had was like super humbling, and it made me more like creative and more like useful of my materials, if that makes sense. And I think like once everything opens back up, I will grow even more as an artist, because I'll have more materials to work with, and I'll be able to take photos of like other people and just, you know, do like more creative projects like this. Artists that inspired me, oh, so many. But definitely for this piece, it was Frida Kahlo, like by far. And even like the hair, I just kind of wanted to like capture like that, I don't know, like raw femininity. I've just always been really inspired by her. She's a Mexican artist, and I'm also Mexican, and I don't know, I really just love her art, and was definitely inspired for that. I'm woman. I'm woman. I bleed when the moon shows her face, she guides me. My hips sway to the sounds of nature. The girl I once was speaks to me, but only on nights like this. Nights when I realize I've lost her. In search of her voice, her energy fills the room. She is familiar again. But when the moon goes into hiding and the sun shines upon my face once more, I am woman. I kind of just wanted to create a poem that goes with the photographs, and like just, I don't know, like capture like what it is to be a woman, and also like my pride in being a woman.
Hi, my name is Kylie Hawks, and I'd say my portraiture tends to be of people around me, and those people are mainly people of color or black individuals. And through this one project where you see two images of the two young men, I kind of wanted to touch on the lack of freedom, I guess, that comes with masculinity and maybe black young men trying to grow into their masculinity and the lack of emotional freedom that comes with that. And so here I kind of also took reference to the movie Moonlight with being at the beach and then using the glitter as teardrops to signify their value and the value in being emotional and vulnerable, especially as black men in our society. And with this other image of my friend that you see is actually a film print, and it is a part of a project where I wanted to photograph black femmes or black women in their places of comfort. And here we are in my bedroom, where I guess that can attest to our years and years of friendship and all the conversations and all the memories that we would recall in my bedroom. And yeah, that image is actually really special to me.
So thank you all for tuning in for the video again. And thank you so much to our teens for showcasing their work. Please do come and visit the Art Center when we do make that announcement that we're back open so that you can check out more of their great work and see it in person. Well, thank you all so much for coming. We have a comment. Jared would like to say something. Jared?
It was really in response to a question earlier about maybe the limitations. I don't remember how this person worded it, but I think what's been interesting working with the students is just how all of them have like leaned into their limitations, and it's kind of inspired the work. And you know, that while like trying to like build these like very unique interdisciplinary practices that involve like painting and photography, but also this like collective awareness raising, like sort of like radical reimagining of like how they want institutions to like function in their like creative endeavors and in their livelihood. And an example of that is a lot of them unionized with other teens at the MCA, and they like called out the MCA, and there's like documentation of that in the show. But it was just really inspiring to see that even with like COVID and like these like parameters put on us, they were also thinking about digital protest and like how you can sort of still like make your voice heard even with all of these like physical barriers and like very unsafe conditions, but just like doing things and like how everyone has their piece to play. It's been really, really inspiring and really, really unique. That's sort of the only word I can kind of keep reiterating or re-saying. But yeah, it's been a pleasure. Sorry.
No need to apologize. Thank you for adding that comment. I think it's important to note the work that goes on behind the scenes and how our teens have been able to organize and to gather and to create that safe space that Alex was talking about earlier. We do have another program coming up at 2 featuring one of our teens, Tzoe Rivera, who will share a short video about her at-home practice, and then we'll take time for questions as well. For now, we're going to take a short break, but do stick around and come back at 2, and again at 2:30 for another program, and at 3 p.m. for our final program of today. We've got a great list of things that are to come, so thank you so much. Thank you to our teens, and thank you to Alexis for the wonderful video as well.
Halo like a hat, that's like the latest fashion. I got angels all around me, they keep me surrounded.
Who is you and who the fuck is you and who is them? All of a sudden, who after them? You can't touch me, nah, 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 nah. I got angels. I got angels. I ain't changed my number since the 7th grade. This from my day 1, 10 years, 7 days. A week niggas never tired on their Kevin Gates. And if they rest in peace, they bunny hop in heaven's gates. It's too many young angels on the got us scared to let our grandmamas outside. You gon' make me take the campus way downtown. You gon' make me turn my BM to my house wide. I just had a growth spurt. It just took so long, my tippy toes hurt. You can keep the nose ring. I don't have to soul search. I'm still at my old church. Only ever sold merch. Grandma say I'm kosher. Mama say I'm culture. GCI 107.5. Angel going live. Power 92. Angel Juke. Angel gone juke. GCI 107.5. Going live. Power 92. Angel gone juke. Juke.
They was talking woo, this was off the band. City so damn great, I feel like Alexander. Way on halo like a hat, that's like the latest fashion. I got angels all around me, they keep me surrounded.
All right, welcome back. We are excited to present our next artist is at home practice. We have Tzoe Rivera, also known as Zoe Sky, who will be talking about the artwork that she's been making at home and show you how she likes to set up her space. And then if anyone has any questions, we're going to do a little quick talk back afterwards with Tzoe about some of her work and the exhibition and also at home and the practice that she's been making as well. I'm going to pull that up. Tzoe, do you have anything to say about your video before we dive in?
Yeah, I'm excited for you guys to see it, and I hope you enjoy.
Thank you, thank you. I'm going to pull it up right now.
Hi, this is an art talk with Tzoe Rivera, and I cannot wait to show you guys my in-home practice for painting, and pretty much everything that I do has been in here so far. So I'm definitely excited to get back out into the world, but I will say that doing art in your room is very comfortable and it's very nice. This is kind of like my space for where I paint. I paint on the floor because I have painted on my bed in the past, but it does not work. And here are all my materials. There's an extra canvas right there, but here are all my materials. I just got a bunch of new paints from the art center, so I'm excited to use those. And then these are the 3 paintings I'll be working on today. They go together, so they look like that. And then this is what I use to put my paints on, and that's my incense holder. I'm about to light an incense to, start off with some good energy for painting. Here are my brushes, and yeah, let's get right into it. Okay, so I start off with lighting an incense to just kind of make my space feel good and, good energy, good vibes. Actually, this incense holder that I use, I made it out of clay, and I really didn't like the clay job, but it turned out good in the end. But at first I was not a fan, but now I use it all the time. So that just goes to show you should keep the art that you hate, because sometimes you end up liking it. Okay, that was a lot of smoke. I'm gonna put it over here. So I like having my crystals while I'm painting, because for me, art is just a spiritual practice, and it's like therapy. So I just like having pretty things around, and these are for enhancing my creativity. So I think they work. I don't know. So these are the 3 paintings that I'm working with today. I already started them, but they're meant to go together, and I'm really excited to finish them. I like working on blank canvases because it's just so satisfying when you have a blank canvas and then you just start adding color to it and making something beautiful out of it. I think it's really powerful and amazing. Also, as you can see, I usually start with the subjects first instead of doing the backgrounds first. And I know some artists do the background first. I think sometimes for me it comes in handy to do the background first, but other times I usually do it this way, where I do the subject, because I like to just dive right into the main focus of the painting, which sometimes works in my favor, but other times it's not the best way to approach it. Something that I need to work on, that I have really need to break this bad habit is like starting projects and then not finishing them, because I do that very often. And if I want to work in a group with other people, I need to be able to actually follow through with what I'm doing and finish my projects. Very important. I think one of the coolest things that I have like discovered from making art is that it's really like telling just like who you are, like through like creative expression. And honestly, like when I'm sketching out like something that I'm about to paint, I don't usually think about what it means until after, and then it just like makes me feel like wow, like I just discovered this new part of myself, or like I don't know. It allows you to really find who you are as a person. I think everyone could really use art in their lives, and I I feel like there's really no bad art. I mean, I know that I personally feel like I have a lot of bad art, but I feel like it's really not real. Like, even if you don't appreciate your art, I think someone will. And I think that's why it's important to keep your bad art. Sometimes I like focus on one thing too much and then I have to like go on to the next. Also, what I really, really love about painting is that it's hard to make mistakes. Like, okay, yeah, you can make like some little mistakes, but like, you can always just paint over it. Like a lot of canvases I have that I know I'm probably not going to use again because I don't really like what's on it. I know that I can just eventually paint over it and make something new. And that's great. I like that a lot about painting. I also like having something that you can physically touch that you made, if that makes sense. That's why I like working with clay too, because it's like you created this thing and now you can hold on to it and keep it forever. And thank you for tuning into my art talk. I'm super happy that you guys got to learn more about my art process and just my growth as an artist. And we have so much art to show you today and so many amazing things that we've been working on. So I'm really excited for you guys to see that, and I hope you enjoy. Bye.
Thank you for watching the video from Tzoe about her at-home practice. Tzoe, do you have anything to say about your working at home? I know that you did join the teen group a little bit later in the game, so you haven't been able to interact directly in the art center, but the supplies were sent to you by the art center and you're able to create work at home. And you did mention in the exhibition walkthrough you've been doing some tricks with your phone as well and kind of be getting creative. Can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, of course. I think it's really just about working with what you have, and I think that just goes into like your overall growth as an artist. It's kind of just like using materials and just getting creative with it. That like I don't know, you don't always have to have like super professional like high end materials to like have the best results for your art. And you know what I mean? Especially if it's not accessible to you. I think it's nice to kind of use what you have and like what you have in that moment.
Yeah.
And it works out in the end.
What are some unconventional things that you have found yourself using at home to make?
Well, definitely with the phone, like literally I was recording that video on a cracked phone. I need to get my phone fixed. And also my tripod was broken. It's just like a lot of things I need to like get fixed. I feel like that's just in my life in general. Like, I don't know. But even like I don't know. There was this one piece that I was working on, and I was it's like a painting. I haven't finished it yet, but I started like gluing string, not string, but you know like what you the almost like yarn that you use to make friendship bracelets. I started like gluing that string like in like swirly patterns around the canvas, and I don't know. I just really liked the outcome of that, and I'm excited to finish it.
Yeah, kind of stuff can add some texture and dimension to your pieces also.
Yeah.
I think you're really drawn to painting. I know you were talking about ceramics and you do photography. It seems like you do a lot of different practices.
Yeah, I definitely try to do a bit of everything, and especially since I'm a little bit newer to the art center and just like newer in my practice, I like to try to like do a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Is there anything new that you want to explore that you haven't quite gotten the chance to yet?
Definitely. So I started making a documentary. It was actually kind of like an assignment for YBA, to make like a mini documentary, and I really want to start getting into videography. And I started the documentary. I haven't finished it yet, but it will definitely get finished, and I'm excited to show it to YBA because I really like the footage I've got so far.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
super to see that work. And I know we have a documentarist coming up next from the program also.
Yeah.
I'm also curious about sort of the things that you were inspired by to work with, not just like medium, but you mentioned femininity and like Frida Kahlo being one of your inspirations. What other types of things are you interested in? Like, where does your inspiration draw
Um, I definitely find inspiration in a lot of aspects of my life. Like definitely even like my mom is a big inspiration for me just because we live in a space together where we're just like constantly with each other, and I think our energy together is very feminine, and it just really fills the house with like feminine energy. So I'm surrounded by that all the time. And I think that's what really inspires me the most. And also just having powerful women in my life in general, I think is just a big inspiration for me.
Yeah, definitely. And you did mention that you were of Mexican heritage, like, and I know that the matriarch and like women and femininity is very important. And
Yes, it's very important. Yes.
how are you inspired by your Mexican identity in your work or the things you're interested in?
um, so definitely I am mixed with Mexican, and my mom is black and white. And so I definitely try to hold on to that Mexican like part of my identity, and it's kind of hard because I'm not really super in touch with that part of my family. So sometimes it can be hard to like really like understand that part of myself. But I think through art, it has allowed me to kind of like find myself in that way. And also just like I'm super inspired by like Mexican art. And I think that's kind of like where I just kind of like identify with that part of myself.
Yeah, definitely. You got to check out the National Museum of Mexican Art in Chicago.
Yeah, I think I've been there before, like on a field trip, and I really loved it a lot.
Oh, it's one of the most one of the first museums of its kind like that, and it's always free. So outside of a field trip, just go and like spend some time with the work and whatnot. It's a really great place.
Yeah, thank you. I will definitely check that out.
Wanted to make sure I left some time for people to ask questions if they have any for Zoe who are here and present. Feel free to put them in the chat or feel free to unmute yourself and ask out loud. Any questions?
I don't have a question, Zoe, necessarily, but I really loved in how in your I'll turn my video on. How in your talk there was so much like prep, but not so much like materials prep. It was like vibe checks. It was like I gotta get my lighting, I gotta get my incense, I gotta get like my space going, and I just feel like that's just I related to that a lot, and it just also is just so important too in the process. It's like how you kind of set up that energy. And I see that a lot in your work too. It's like it's like vibrating in more than just the colors, but like even I think just the vibes you're putting into it. Like you really, it really kind of transcends and shows in your work. So I just really appreciated hearing how candid you were and like showing us that part of your studio, because it's a cool insight to see that artists kind of go through this um, prep in making work.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think it definitely makes a big difference what kind of energy you put into your art and your practice. And I definitely wanted to capture that in the video. So thank you.
Yeah, I know I definitely, after reviewing and like checking out the video, I definitely grabbed my incense and lit some. I was like, well, let me lit some incense too. So inspiring folks out here. Yeah. Well, awesome. If we don't, oh, we have another question. Perfect. Thank you, Hinda. So Hinda says, in your video, you talked about how making art is spiritual. It's also like therapy, and also it's a way to express yourself. Can you tell us more about this, and especially what this means to you as a young woman?
Yeah, definitely. So I think this kind of goes into also like what energy you put into your art as well, and just like um kind of just being able to like take a break from everything that's going on and just kind of focus on one thing and just, I don't even know. Also just like the motions of painting can just feel so natural, and it's so sweet in that way. And I think that's an important. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, Hinda, do you have anything else to add? Oh, she said that answered it perfectly. Well, thank you so much, Zoe, for joining us here today and sharing more insight about your practice. Do you have anything that you're looking forward to once we kind of are able to come back out into the world?
Yes, I'm really looking forward to working with like a group of people. I feel like I haven't had that much practice with like working with a lot of people on like a team project, and I'm really excited to do more of that once everything's opened up and we can be around more people.
Yes, I think we all can't wait for that as well.
Yeah.
And I also want to know if there are any other artists who you like.
I can't think of any names in this exact moment, but I'm definitely super inspired by a lot of Chicago artists. And I mean, even just like artists in the art center, like all of the team's work that was up in the exhibition. It's so inspiring to see like young people like making amazing art.
Yes, definitely. Howell Coop says you are destined for so much greatness, Zoe. Keep working on your.
Thank you.
That's a good way to close out this program. So thank you all for joining us for this one. Do stick around. We have another program coming up next with Amir Johnson, who will be showcasing his documentary, a couple snippets from that as well. Amir's in the room right now. We're going to give him some time to get ready. We're going to take a short break, and then we'll be right back so that folks can hear from that. Thank you again, Zoe. Thank you again to our teams for this wonderful takeover. And thank you all to you for joining us today. Thanks so much.
My number since the 7th grade. This from my day one, 10 years, 7 days. A week niggas never tired on their Kevin Gates. And if they rest in peace, they bunny hop in heaven's gates. It's too many young angels on the south side. Got us scared to let our grandmamas outside. You gon' make me take the campus way downtown. You gon' make me turn my BM to my house wide. I just had a growth spurt. It just took so long, my tippy toes hurt. You can keep the nose ring. I don't have to soul search. I'm still at my old church. Only ever sold merch. Grandma say I'm kosher. Mama say I'm culture. GCI 1075. Angel going live. Power 92. Angel Juke. Angel gone Juke. GCI 1075. Going live. Power 92. Angel gone Juke. Juke.
They was talking woo, this is what the band. City so damn great, I feel like Alexander. Way on halo like a hat, that's like the latest fashion. I got angels all around me, they keep me surrounded.
Hello again and welcome back. We're really excited to dive into our next program. We're going to be showing a featured documentary or snippets from the documentary that Amir Johnson, who's a part of our Youth Advisory Board, has been working on. We've got Amir here today. Amir, how are you doing today? Happy Sunday.
Yeah, it's not that early, so I'm feeling pretty good right now.
That's good. That is good. There's so many people around here getting ready to watch the Super Bowl and whatnot today. Are you a football fan?
No.
Yes, I haven't watched football in quite some time now. I'm more of a basketball fan, or like just getting out and running and doing stuff myself. But yeah, I want to give the floor over to you so that you can talk a bit about your documentary and your project. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm 17. I'm a senior. I go to Whitney Young. I'd say the video project, I've been working on it for a little over a year now. So I'd say since early last summer. And I'd say like I started with a kind of small kind of mission with it, but now it's kind of, it's grown or snowballed like as I've progressed. But basically, I'd say the purpose of the documentary is just to show my life, I guess. Like that sounds very simple, but when you watch it, I guess, or when I watch it, it allows me to like reflect on like the moments that I have documented, and like when I do rewatch it, every time I rewatch my videos, like it becomes like the meaning becomes greater to me because I just notice little things about what I documented, which I'd say are pretty rare for you to see in documentaries or whatever. Um, but yeah, like I just say, it's really like growing. It's like like a work in progress. I don't expect to finish filming until the end of this summer. So I've really been working on it for a long time, and I'm just glad to be able to share some of my progress here. Um, that's about it. There is some swearing and stuff because everything that I've recorded is candid and uh, experiences from my own life. So anything you might expect a teenager to be doing within reason is on display here. So that's about it, though.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing a bit more about that. Were you interested in making films or doing video work prior to making the documentary?
Actually, so I make like outside of this, I've always like for the last like I'd say 2 years, I've been editing films to music, like clips and stuff. I've been doing that for a while. I think I've gotten pretty good at it. I'm actually in the middle of one right now, but those I only post those on like Instagram, but those are like I'd say more consistent output of work that is visible. So I can maybe put my Instagram in the chat, and all the videos are on my Instagram TV feed. So if anyone wanted to watch those, I guess.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that bit. And with that, let's dive into some of your snippets from your documentary. So Amir's going to share his screen and share some clips with us.
33, 57, 57. Just me in my house. I recorded all that like because I was really like in a rough place at that moment, and I just felt that it would be good to be able to look back on that to see, like in the future, like all the things I've been through. But anyway, this is just me and my friend driving around.
Not alone us. I see my ups again, I got a load off. I got a demon in the engine, I did a donut. Oh no, 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 not you again. Baby girl, you a 10. On the road, you a 10. But you cannot pay your rent. Got a rabbit on my skin. Sing to her like boys a man. Try to argue to my friend. Then I proceed to a twin. This a Uzi, not a Mac, I got no pen. Bet you can hear that the difference in that girl a chin. Gucci pants come out and Gucci store come with a him. My pants ain't so tight, don't know if they for her or him. Niggas want my style, I got some swag that you can lend. Let's see how I go with the brightest, the rocks in the blimp. Louis, bad, Dana tied around my chin. Ghost shots the bitches, pulled up all the way to my shit. Yes, I'm up at 30 side, now I just took 3 tens. We ride spinners on my rim. You suck niggas do anything cause y'all wanna win. I don't know, I gon' fall, I gon' pay. Venture through my doors, I look like show enough. I pull up in a land, it's not to load us. I see my ops again, I got to load up. I got a demon in my engine, I did a donut.
Okay, so, sorry if these clips are very brief, but I have a lot that I want to show, and I like kind of, oops. That was an accident. 1 second. I have a lot that I want to share. Let me resume screen sharing. Summer tape 1. So this is summer tape 1. That should be summer tape. So I'm going to the next. Oops. Oh. Stop share. Share. Okay, share sound. Okay, so yeah, so it might seem like I'm jumping around a lot, but I just had to make sure I accounted for every second and every minute that I show today. So that's why, because there's a lot of footage. I'd say it's about 7 hours total that I've gotten so far, which kind of isn't enough considering how long I've been doing this. But I just had to make sure that I watched through these and got everything, showed everything that I wanted to show, 25, 15. So this is from last summer. While I'm just getting to the portion where I want to start. Yeah, this is from last
They slide the mask on. Dude, pop out. Magic, huh?
This song is decent.
Did you get that? No. Just knocked it off. Now we go knock it off.
No. We got summer tape 2, 1735 to 1855. 1735.
I make it rain on whoever. I make it rain at whoever. Mix them with blue devil. I got the hose that you have. I make it rain on whoever. I make it rain at whoever. Mix them with blue devil. I got the hose that you have. I can't fuck with these niggas, they not 100. Platform keep jumping until the things don't want it. Free cloud keep coming. Tell Drake keep dumping. Run Ricky, he running. Run Ricky, he running. Gas in the air. You can smell you roam up. Then I change up the motion. I'm smoking a rover. I'm smoking him over. Big whale in the ocean. Everything icy. 3 carats in a pointer. Ain't no apology to niggas down on me. I keep a poker. Run up, get your coat cut. Put his head on his shoulder. Cut the guns in the sofa. Nigga, what's the commotion? Put the guns in the holster. Till it's And I'm back in the deep end. Trap all season. Trap open on the weekends. Niggas back cause I'm eating. And I'm in the full seat. Gravely stay breakless. 25 for the big break. Spent 25 for the necklace. Happy mama like, whoa. Then go pop smoke. No, the ops can't stand me. Rolls Royce, no Camry. Or skirt off in the panty. Hoodie on ducking cameras. If my ops in the foreign, then we no, I'm outside, and I keep a pole, and I'm on the roads, 30K show, get it in between.
Keep it moving. Dog footage 25 to 2:30. 25 to 2:30. You guys can, yeah, I think you can still see. Okay, 25 to 2:30. Dog footage. 5 seconds. Okay. So before I show this clip, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know if I'll make it through all the ones I set out to show today, but before I show this clip, I'd say that so this is one of the things that I was talking about earlier about the the project becoming more meaningful to me as I continued. So when I had my camera or when I record in moments like this one here, I think this was maybe 5 months ago. Sometimes I feel actually I'll just put it simply that the camera has helped me I don't know, actualize my self-image in some sort of way or something. I can't really explain it clearly in a brief statement, but maybe I can talk about it afterwards. But this is just me checking myself out in the camera, honestly.
Promises, will you never keep? Second time around, I'm still believing what you said. You said you'd be here.
247 or 247. There it is.
I'm a little nigga, I be T'd on phone at what?
I told you I'm making
In a quarter mile, right? Turn left onto East 51st Street.
Shit back in the bag.
Damn, I just wanna get drunk with the guys. Chill. Damn, niggas be on my ass about fucking nothing. I don't even want to do shit. It's my shit.
I know, I could tell.
How we getting fucked up on phone them? My nigga.
Crossroad, I know. Tonight somebody won't make it home. Out here on my own. Somebody tell me what I went wrong. I need 10 on. Too rich for that bullshit. All these niggas gon' make me 10 toes. Nigga came up out the blue pit ride with a full clip. I say get on. I'm the one took that L. They who gang, they ain't winning. Tryna get over his pain. Leave us thing okay. Caught a nigga let me gotta run my way. I'ma move around, just pull up and spray.
4:30. That's about right. Yeah.
They did ask for everybody go. Lay that blues in the cemetery.
Don't get you better, I see your head. No side, no they folk chase that. Greenly ready, flag activity. Stay sticked up, that's really fitting. Big bro, give us in the kitchen. Young bad bitch ain't got no chemistry. Name, I bet them hoes fall. Never know what's next up in this shit, just gotta play it out. Mama told me watch them niggas, they'll take you out. Wear a body on my dick, what's all I hate about. Allergic to the fake, they get too close, I might start breaking out.
I go to 928. Asa. Yep, there it is.
Dog. I mean, move that fat ass camera so I can see my phone.
You see me? Hey. Weezy. Oh, yeah.
I never had this before.
Take you fluid, we not new to it, we kinda fluid. I was in the wood, I'm covered with mud, I came out the hood. Sometimes the gangsta be the hood.
Hey, spray that
I'ma get all my problems above. Hate when people be doing too much.
Give me like 2
lights. Show you no love. We don't need no one watching for us. I've been grinding and found me a buzz. I've been searching for love and found last. It's so hard to start holding a grudge. But let dogs spit your shit like a dutch. More squawk at the kid in the cut. Keep your shot cause these niggas play tough. Pick and choose who to right when they trust. Pick and choose who to right when they trust. Keep it real and let us fake love. Niggas have but they bitch you love. And the Benny I run like a dog. I said
14. Okay.
Can we be friends while fucking your mom?
No.
Are you serious?
Yeah, probably, but
we can still be cool while fucking your mom.
nigga, I would, bro. That's such an L. That's such an L. That's such an L. Like,
bro.
Do you know how big?
My boy's sister one time, bro.
Oh.
She was 30, bro.
You got a 30-year-old?
So we're at this party. Puerto
No
Rican.
fucking way.
I swear to God, bro. So I'm at the drink table, right? She's so thick, bro. Oh my God. She was so thick. So I'm at the drink table. I'm like, damn, what do I want to drink? So she come up. What you drinking? I go, I don't know. You trying to make me something? She go, yeah. She goes, so how old are you? I go, I'm 18. She goes, okay. I go, how old are you? She goes, guess. I go,
25.
You about 24. She was like, wow, thank you, but I'm 30. I was like, really? You don't look a day over 25. She started giggling.
Jail, folks.
Oh, bro. So, mind you, this goofy ass Delawarean dude, Azim, hears me say that shit. Every time I try to talk to a girl, this dude come up, try to talk to her too. I'm like,
that shit goofy.
It is annoying as shit, bro. And he would be like all mad because one time I just took a girl that he was trying to get on. Like she had seen me and was like, oh, I want to fuck with him. So, to this day, bro, he be making fun of me. Oh, this light skinned nigga, blah 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 blah. I'm like, bro, fuck up, bro.
Old bitch.
Bro, and then so later.
That's so bad, bro. Like a MILF.
Bro, I'm saying
40-year-old kids and shit.
So it's kind of cold.
1955. Never seen a black. This is the last one, so this would be 720 to 710, and that's on photos. Oh, this is okay. 720. This is the last clip, and then if anyone has any questions or anything, I'll answer them.
My eyes are
Guys, I get mad pussy. That's all I gotta say.
They zoom in on my eyes.
Okay, who's up?
Check out my eyes, bro.
David Buster.
Wearing a mask. I mean, you're up. No, you don't pick another one after that. That's only an ace. If you have an ace, you're
That's crazy.
Mr. Johnson, you're up. You're up.
Okay. Drink.
Bro, you can't say that. You can't say that.
Don't just chill with it. Just chill with it.
I just said,
you can say it, but just don't keep racist.
Yeah, what's J? Yeah, exactly. What's J? What's J? What's J? What's J?
Thumbs.
Yeah, it's fine.
Thumbs. What's thumbs?
Whenever you put your finger. Oh, Junior.
Man, you didn't say it loud enough.
I mean, you can grab that.
Dude, that's not fair.
Junior, you can
say it loud.
gotta put that away. Bro, why does Amir got a security camera? Are you undercover, Amir?
Yes. 100.
Oh. JR,
you're under arrest, bitch.
I can't be under arrest. I work for the FBI. You're under arrest. You messed up, brother. I can say whatever the fuck I want to you. I'm CIA. My badge, you want to see it? Right here. All right, question master. My badge, so right here. Anybody a question? Hey, Amir, listen to this. Yeah. Junior's a question master. So he can ask anybody a question, and if you answer his question, then you have to fucking take a shot. But it's until somebody else chooses another queen. So that means we're stuck not answering somebody's question. So if Junior asks you one fucking question, do not answer it, or else you have to take a shot anytime he wants to.
Dude, I'm so good at that.
Yes, question master.
So anytime he answers me any question, I can't say anything.
Don't say shit to him answer the question. Okay.
Junior, you
He can ask you questions. Junior can't.
Okay. So can I ask questions or no?
Yes. Drive. Got him. Yes. I know.
He got you. He got you. Get fucked. Joe.
Oh shit! Oh shit! Damn!
Yo!
Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit!
Well, that's probably all I have time for, to be honest. Because I actually, like, if anyone wanted to ask any questions, I wanted to be able to talk about whatever any questions anyone might have. So, hold on. Reopen Zoom.
Hey Amir, did you record this on a tape recorder?
Yeah, these are all. Yeah. Wait, hold on. How do I? Okay, so, stop share. Yeah, I know. Hold on. Hello.
Yeah.
We're here.
So, yeah, all the footage was on my hold on. I have it here with me actually. But it's like a handheld Sony. It's a Sony Handycam, and it's enabled with what's it called? Night, like not night vision, but like I think it's called Night Shot Plus or something like that. Oh.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the way that it was shot. It was like very raw type of feel. It felt like you were just carrying your camera everywhere with you. Was that something that you do? Like you just bring your camera in?
Yeah. Yeah, like so actually the last clip that I didn't get to show, like every time that anywhere I don't like where it's like not allowed for me to have the camera, and I expect or I figure something interesting might happen, I'll have it with me, or like unless I forget to charge it or whatever, I just carry it with me all the time. Yeah. Someone in the comment, can I share a little about my message? So I'd say that I wasn't able to show a lot of the things that might exemplify like what I'm about to say the most, but I would say that wait, hold on, let me reread the question again. Message. So I'd say I don't know if I have a message, more so as I have I don't really have a message. I'd say I more have a idea or concept behind what I'm doing at all times. So like, and that concept constantly evolves, but I'd say the concept currently is just showing the nuances, the, everything good, bad, and in between of my experience, which is comprised of multiple different, factors, Black, being from Chicago, being my age. Also, like I think actually all the footage I've recorded has been during the pandemic. So that's something that also kind of intersects with everything I've been doing. So that I'd say it just is like when you said raw, like, yeah, like the point is to show like my experiences as a youth in the most raw way possible. Um, yeah, in the most raw way possible, like, because I feel like that's kind of rare.
Yeah, it definitely is rare to be able to, especially for like teenagers, to get an insight. How do you feel that this differs? Because I know that at least your generation grew up like with video and TikTok and Snapchat and like creating videos and documenting your life a lot. How does this film practice or like documentation of it differ from social media sharing for you?
Oh, very different to me. That's a great question, actually. But I feel like on social media, like, um, like this is something that like I've become like my videos have become easier for me to share, but not all parts of them because some of them are still kind of personal or raw. Like I said, very raw. But when I finally am able to edit all the footage, I'll be able to put whatever I want into it because it's my passion project. But I'd say it differs from social media because in a video like this or in a project like this where I have already like 7 to 9 hours of footage. Um, you're yourself, and like, like on social media, you're not yourself. Like even like anyone, like I'd say you're not really yourself as much as you are a constructed kind of character version of yourself. So like be that whatever that character is, like it's not really you like all the way because you only show certain parts of yourself, certain images, and usually the best parts of yourself. So that's why how this differs. That's like I said, good and bad, everything. I record everything that like a lot of the stuff I go through or whatever, good or bad. That's why I recorded. That's why I chose to record myself when I was up at like 4 a.m. doing homework, like after weeks and weeks of steady 5-hour days of sleep. So like you wouldn't show that on social media. Yeah, so that's why I think this is very different from that.
Yeah, would you say you've learned anything about yourself in the process of documenting your life in this way?
I'd say that as far as learning about myself, like I've definitely come to understand like um not only like self-image but like how much you can change in a brief amount of time based on various things. Like even like this is like kind of long term, but me now compared to myself before quarantine, totally different person. Like or even like I'd say even me, like because those clips when I was recording the skating, that was that was like the middle of last summer. I'm a totally different person now than I was then. So like to me, it really is crazy, like because you don't really know, like when you don't record these things or when you don't document them, you don't really like you're you, so you don't understand how like you get that you've changed since however long ago, but you don't really get to see that like in a tangible way. You just kind of understand like, oh, because I mean, if I asked anyone that's in this call right now, like, oh, what were you like 5 years ago? No one's going to be able to answer that. You know what I'm saying? But I could probably answer that based on or give a good estimate based on, the extensive footage I've gathered, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely does. And I can relate to some of the stuff that you showed. Like, I remember being a teenager and cruising around with my friends and just kind of getting into stuff and like doing things. So it's interesting to see kind of behind the scenes of like insight on like life as a teen, as a young Black boy growing up in Chicago with his friends and stuff like that. Some things that some people may think is like inappropriate to see or whatever, but if you think back to like your youth, those are all things that we may have experienced or done in the past as well too.
Totally. Sierra, can I just say one thing too about Amir's work and just his presentation? I think that it's really refreshing to see like a young person depict youth from their perspective, because I think that generally speaking, we consume a lot of culture that depicts youth. Like everyone's obsessed with Euphoria. Everyone's obsessed with like Larry Clark and, you know, things where like we're seeing teens be destructive, but it's from this like really almost like predatory lens. And so I think that when a teen is depicting themselves that way, I think it brings up, like I think Amir said, these like nuances and like these like video styles where it's like Blair Witchy and we're kind of concerned for you and you're bringing, it's like dangerous, but it's like, I don't think you're trying to make it cool. It's just what you said, like the opposite of like what we put forward on social media, which is like our best selves. And I think it's really brave that you are sharing this with us today. And I'm really thankful that you've gotten to like share this with us like over the course of the year. So good job.
Thank you.
Even like the technique, Amir, of like how you were pausing and playing different like or very like specific time codes of the video was just really cool. And it was almost like video DJing, like how you were curating these little bits of content together. So even seeing you sort of like maneuver that was really, really interesting. And I'd love to see how you can like just how it's going to look when it's together, you know, because you know, obviously it's stitching and editing, but even just this very raw like opening of windows, pressing play, pausing, had a rhythm that was also really raw and really cool, and it reminded me of like mixing like music and things like that. So it was really awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, and the music was also really great. I felt myself vibing along. I think I had to Shazam one of the songs. It was Naked Eyes, I think, with the 80s vibes. Cool. So good taste in music as well.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions before we move into our final program of the day? Amir, do you hope to continue to create video work? I know you're interested in going to Morehouse. Like, what are you interested in studying?
So I applied to quite a few colleges, but I've only heard back from like 2. Like I've only gotten 2 acceptance letters so far. But I mean, I applied regular admission, but I'd say I'm definitely like once I finish filming at the end of this summer, this project, I definitely I'm probably gonna start on something new for college, like maybe a new direction or something. I don't know. I've kind of like I don't know, just like a different like kind of perspective or intention starting off when I do start work in college. So but yeah, I'm definitely going to continue to do film work probably for the very long foreseeable future. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much again for sharing with us today. Really excited to see what you do in the future. We'll be looking out for your films at Sundance someday. So thanks so much, Amir. Awesome. So we have our final program of the day, which is going to be the teens got the opportunity to interview Dr. Walter Massey, who is a phenomenal person who was on our board at the Hyde Park Art Center, was the former chair and chancellor of the School of the Art Institute as well. They've been doing these really great interviews. In the past, they've interviewed Jeff Koons, they interviewed Amanda Williams, really about things that they cared and wanted to know about. And in this particular conversation with Walter Massey, they are interviewing him about how to navigate the art world. So I'm going to take one small break just as I pull that video up, and we can jump right into that interview. Thanks so much.
For my real fans, I got caught up with a little Zan. Couldn't stop me, but it slowed me though. Yeah, nigga famous, you don't know me though, but their DJ still play me though. Them I don't even need the radio, cause my new shit sound like a rodeo. Got the old folks dance on the dope, so they fuck around, sign me the OVO. Ooh, I just might share my next one with Keith. Got the industry in disbelief, they be asking for a beat. This what it sound like when God split an atom with me. I even had Steve giving out apples for free.
They was talking woo, this was what the band. City so damn great, I feel like Alexander. Wear your halo like a hat, that's like the latest fashion. I got angels all around me, they keep me surrounded.
Who is you and who the fuck is you and who is them? All of a sudden, who after them? You can't touch me, nah, 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 nah. I got angels. I got angels. I ain't changed my number since the 7th grade. grade. This from my day one, 10 years, 7 days. A week niggas never tired on their Kevin Gates. And if they rest in peace, they bunny hop in heaven's gates. It's too many young angels on the south side. Got us scared to let our grandmamas outside. You gon' make me take the campus way downtown. You gon' make me turn my BM to my house wide. I just had a growth spurt. It just took so long, my tippy toes hurt. You can keep the nose ring. I don't have to soul search. I'm still at my old church. Only ever sold merch.
All right. So we're back for our final program. We have an interview with Dr. Walter Macy. I want to make sure I pronounce the name right. I'm going to tell you a little bit about our distinguished guest today. Walter E. Macy is an American educator, physicist, and executive. He's also was the former president emeritus of the School of the Art Institute and of Morehouse College. He is the chairman of the board overseeing construction of the giant Magellan telescope and serves as trustee and chair of the City Colleges of Chicago. And with that, I'm going to show you all this wonderful interview that the teens conducted. I think it was Thursday evening during their Youth Advisory Board meeting with Dr. Massey. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you so much, Kate and Sierra, Walter, everybody, teens that are here, Jared. My name is Alex Herrera. I lead the teen programs at Hyde Park Art Center. And just as a little background of what we are, not just YBA, but our entire teen programs, we are a free program that happens after school. It's an extracurricular program for young artists in high school to continue their art practice, but also their college and career readiness with the guidance of professional teaching artists, assistants, visiting artists, staff, and a whole network of other teen programs across the city. We are composed of 6 free programs, and this is just one of them. This is our leadership program that focuses on leading events, public programs, recruiting and engaging with new teens across the city. So we're super excited to have this group here who's been doing a lot of work virtually. We haven't stopped since we've shifted over to doing our programs online, but they can share a little bit more about what they're up to as well. But a lot of their work is also focused on accountability. They're researching a lot about institutions and how they function, particularly this group. So I'm going to just pass it over to Jared, who can speak a little bit more about that curricular side and project side of what this group has worked on. So yeah, thank you, Jared.
Hi, Walter. Thank you so much again for being with us today. It's an honor, and we're really excited to have you. For the past year, I've been working with YBA, and prior to that, I was a Jackman Goldwasser resident for the Hyde Park Art Center, and that's kind of how I became a teaching artist here with these young artists. And since COVID and the pandemic, everything has forced us to think about public engagement and accessibility in this like virtual lens. And it's helped us to like really start imagining what we want, not just the art industry to look like once things start opening back up, but just how we want to like be maneuvering as young Black creative people in a city like Chicago. And we know that you were a major, if not the sole role for getting us that really unique opportunity to ask Jeff Koons questions earlier in 2020. And again, thank you. We gave you a shout out. I don't know if that made it into the actual televised thing that everyone saw. We definitely gave you a shout out. We were just like, really, really thankful for that. And so we have more questions for you. Again, thank you for being here. And I'm going to just open it up for the rest of YBA to introduce themselves, what kind of art they do. And we're But before that, actually, we like to sort of extend the floor to our guest. And so, how would you like to identify today? How would you like us to refer to you? We know you have a lot of different roles, or you wear a lot of different hats. So how should we address you? We want to give you.
Call me Walter. Call me Walter.
Okay. I'm going to open it up now to YBA to introduce themselves.
Good.
And let you know some stuff, and we're going to ask you some questions.
Okay. And tell me about yourself, of course, before you ask the question. Okay. So who's starting?
Okay, I can go. Hi, my name is Alexis.
Alexis.
I go to Kenwood Academy. I'm currently a senior. I would say, I've been a photographer for a while, but I'm really getting into videography. I'm planning on majoring in film in college next fall. This fall coming up, sorry. And the question that I have for you is, if you had the power, well, you do have, but if you could change one thing in higher education, what would you change, and like why? And also, like, how would you implement some of the things that you've learned throughout your career into the institutions that we currently are in?
Well, I think higher education is very expensive, too expensive for many people, and especially in the arts. I know that's why when I was president of SAIC, we started a number of programs, especially to try to get students from the Chicago area, because it is costly. So if there's one thing, I think I would try to make, and not just art schools, also make them more accessible, make the colleges more accessible. And a number of institutions are doing that, very wealthy institutions, but not everybody gets into a very wealthy institution. So I would argue for more public, state support, federal support for institutions of higher education. That would be the primary thing I would change.
Okay, my name is Darius Donald. I also attend Kenwood, and I'm a senior also. I'm a photographer, and
You were a photographer also, Alexis.
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
And
They have a good photography program there?
most definitely at the Hyde Park Art Center in Kenwood.
Yeah.
And me, my question would be, seeing you have
I interrupted you, stop.
seeing you have a lot of connections in the art community, how do you hold on to those connections, and how do you like when you want to ask for a favor or like ask certain questions to certain artists, how do you approach them?
I found artists are pretty open. There are very few, but there's some well-known ones, like Yami Plemza, who doesn't like to talk about his work. You know, he doesn't like to explain his work. But most artists I found are flattered when you show interest in their work and you ask about it, and like to tell you what they were thinking of when they worked on this and maybe how they did it. Two parts of, the meaning of the work and the technique that goes into it. Some artists are very interested, not everybody's interested, likes to talk about their technique. Jeff Koons, I don't know if you asked him about that, but he puts a lot of work into selecting the materials. He has this one source in Germany that makes the stainless steel that he used, the only place in the world that can make it, that has the kind of right reflective properties and smoothness that he can use. And he spends a lot of time on it. It's as if he were making a fine instrument, a car or something, rather than a work of art, the time he puts on the materials. So I like art, my wife and I, we always did, but I really didn't become very deep and knowledgeable about the community until I became president of SAIC. That gave me an entree. And it's just been great. You go to galleries, speak with people, you try to get visits to artist studios. Now some, well, they don't have time to be bothered all the time, surely, that. But if you can figure out a way to do that and get to know them personally. And I've also found, you say you have connections, it's like probably anything, the more people you know, then they know people, right? And you know they can speak for you when you want to you meet someone else. You can ask an artist to introduce you. So it's just being in the community for me has made a big difference. Yeah, I'm a physicist, so
thank you.
I wasn't sure when I went to SAIC how I would be accepted or seen as a scientist and physicist.
Walter, you bring up an interesting point, though, about identifying as a physicist, but I wonder if everyone could benefit to sort of think about whatever field they're in more artistically or creatively, because then maybe more problem solving can happen and we can sort of push against sort of some of the systemic things that keep people from having access or keep people from feeling like they can even step foot within said institution or field, right?
Say a little more about that. I don't think I might be missing something.
I try to talk to like YBA and my student and young people about how important it is to be able to talk about art with people that aren't just artists, and the sort of role that we get to play in kind of making other people, like giving other people to think creatively about the fields that they're in. So like, what does it mean for like a banker, knowing that you just came out with this book, what would it mean for more bankers to think artistically about problem solving, finances, and maybe thinking or like resorting to formulas that they have always been like resorted to, like maybe like new, like creativity is how we kind of can keep problem solving.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
We talked a lot about that at SAIC, and there are a number of institutions who have seen that they need within their organizations the ability to think differently, to see things from different perspectives. That's the way many artists do and many scientists do, to not necessarily see that the traditional ways of doing things or carrying out operations are the right. People use the word think outside of the box. I'm not sure that captures it, but people who have an ability and instinct and the kind of courage, I would say, to view things differently and to try to do things differently. It's one thing to see things and think about doing them differently, but also to actually try, to implement them. And there are organizations, I haven't followed it lately, who are actually hiring artists, residents, to help them think more creatively. I have a very good friend, his name is, was a chairman of the Department of Art at Brown for a number of years, one of my closest friends. He's a sculptor and painter and very, very creative artist. He was had been working with corporations, many in France, maybe they're ahead of U.S. corporations, to work with their senior executives on just this kind of thing, having workshops, having retreats, in which he asked them to do things and to try to see it in different ways, the way an artistic person might. So that's definitely something I think people who have that talent and genius to be creative artistically bring to the world. And if your question is, should there be more, get more credit for that or be more aggressive in doing it? I think so. Artists, I think many people do see artists who are not engaged deeply. It's people who paint pretty things or paint outlandish things or make outlandish things. And also, someone may ask about it later, I really didn't appreciate as deeply the social cultural aspects of art making and creativity until I went to SAIC. I mean, that art can be very revolutionary You're probably finding that at an early age because you're starting out doing art at an early age, which I didn't.
I want to also disclose that I showed YBA a like segments of a commencement speech that you gave for MIT in 1991, and part of what you were talking about were the ethics of around research, and why research is so important and essential in processes. In a lot of ways, artists are researchers, and do you see that, like those parallels a lot in your work, or like yeah, can you maybe talk about research in its role in your practice, because in a way it seems like you've got an interdisciplinary practice.
Well, I did. I'm not doing research now. I'm not doing science now. I'm more retired from that, a little more administration and policy. But I think in every endeavor, especially endeavors where what you do affects other people deeply, or affects a large number of people, have to be guided by some ethical principles. I mean, I think that's art, probably any field. Fields where the public is more directly engaged probably demand more thought about that than others. I mean, if you're doing something that no one ever sees, making biscuits or something in the back of a restaurant, or whatever you're doing, it's a noble profession, but people are not looking at you. You're not providing an example. And any endeavor in which you or your work is providing an example to the public in any way that implies that this message you are sending is something that they should reflect on, adhere to. I think the question of the ethical principles you bring to that are very, very important. Now, the situation may be different in determining exactly what you do, but it should be thoughtful. Some art is very outlandish. Some is designed to provoke, to anger, to create reactions. And if that's the purpose of it, then that's ethically, to me, okay. If it's a gratuitous insulting or gratuitously demeaning, then to me that's something else.
I want to open it back up to YBA and questions that some members have. Someone we haven't heard from.
Where on earth did you find that MIT speech? Everything's on YouTube, right?
Everything is on YouTube, and it was really awesome to see, just because a lot of things that you were talking about, specifically when people make errors in research, like how do you rectify that? I think we're coming to, we're still having those conversations now. So it was really cool to see.
I go back and listen to it myself now.
Oh, I have the link right now.
Okay.
I want to open it up to YBA.
Okay.
Some questions, someone that we haven't heard from.
I'll go. Okay, so hi, Walter.
Hi, Raya. Raya?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's Breonna Taylor. I'm a fashion enthusiast. I love higher end luxury fashion. I fashion media in New York this fall. And I guess my question for you would be, being that you're from Mississippi, my family's actually from Mississippi. How did you garner these relationships to get these high rank positions that you had in the past? Like, my biggest fear is not knowing somebody who knows somebody to get where you want to be. So how did you what's the word, not negotiate, but basically just make relationships? Thank you.
Well, that wasn't always the case. when I was young in Mississippi, I didn't know anybody. Over the years, well, nothing beats hard work. And you start with that in any profession, anything you try to pursue. And I went to Morehouse College very young. I went out of the 10th grade. And I learned there the importance of hard work, persistence, sticking to things. And I also learned how to learn things. I could go into that more. And got a confidence that I could learn new things. But also learned about the importance of mentors, because the faculty there were very mentor-oriented, very interested in not you as a person, not just as a number. And some people find it very difficult to approach people to try to gain their mentorship. African-American men, and Morehouse College is all African-American men, are more reluctant probably than others, young Black males, to reach out and say, I'd like help, I would appreciate your help. But I would suggest you think about that, because the way you start making these connections is it's almost one at a time, but then it can sort of, not explode, but really can branch out very quickly. You know one person, that person knows you. And that person knows you pretty well because they are mentoring you, and they know you. They know you enough to trust you. They know your values. They know who you are in some sense, not just what you do. And that, usually if you're gonna have a mentor, that person is at a level higher than you. And then the group they are in is a group that, maybe older, more distinguished, more accomplished. But then they talk about you and that group when you get to be known, and then you meet other people. And the thing just sort of grows. And as you move to other organizations, I would always have, when I changed jobs, a very good example. I was in Washington and I moved to San Francisco, went there to be provost of the University of California system. And before I went to San Francisco, I had one friend, my graduate school roommate, but otherwise we didn't know many people there. So I had been very involved in Chicago. So I asked my connections in Chicago, would they introduce, would they write letters, would they introduce me to people in San Francisco? The way I became a member, got invited to join the board of Bank of America, which was based in San Francisco, is I had been on the board of a bank here called First National Bank of Chicago, which is now J.P. Morgan. And I asked the CEO, would he introduce me to people in San Francisco? And he did. He wrote letters. And I got there, they met me and they introduced me to other people. So it's something you have to work at. And I have found that people generally are flattered when you ask them for suggestions or help or mentoring. Some people get annoyed, some don't want to take the time. And that has happened to me, but by and large, overwhelmingly, people feel honored kind of that you would feel that they know something or they could be helpful to you. So I would not be shy about seeking out mentors.
Let's hear from someone that we haven't heard from yet. Who's got a question?
Hi, my name is Bianca. I mostly paint, but I try to work in different mediums. My question is, what is the most important or difficult thing about breaking into a field that you might not be familiar with? And how did you get past that? Like, what did you do to get past that?
I think the most difficult thing is sort of learning the language of the field. I think in any field it's so interesting. If you don't know the terms, the language, in physics, mathematics is the language of physics. So if you don't really understand math well, it's hard to do that. And it feels like when I first learned about getting into art and people would use terms that I wasn't quite sure about quite what it meant. So I spent time with people just learning the language. That's the first thing. Even if you don't really know anything in depth, if you know the language, then you can ask questions in the language. I mean, it's hard to ask, I don't know what's that behind you, right? Is that a tempera? Is it paint? I mean, what's the medium? All of those, you can't even ask intelligent questions, and therefore you can't have a good conversation. The second thing is to go back to the mentor relationship. First, work hard, study, read all you can about the field. But then engage people, ask them questions. When I would first go into a new organization, a new field, or join a new board or something, if I didn't understand something at a meeting or conversation, I would ask one of the person who was talking about it, who was presenting, would they mind if I came by? You know, had a private meeting with them because I'd written down a lot of questions. I didn't want to take up all the time during the talk or the meeting or whatever. And I would like to go over to make sure I understood these things. And again, I've most always found that people were flattered. At first, I said, God, you know, they're going to worry that I'm bothering them. They have a job. They don't have time to spend just tutoring me. People were very flattered most of the time. So those are the three things: learn the language, work hard, do all the reading, and reach out to people in the field.
Hi, I'm Madison. I go to Kenwood. My main.
Okay. Where are you? Madison. Okay, go ahead.
I do photography, culinary, and I'm a writer, so I plan on majoring in journalism next fall. And my question is, how did you make the transition from science to art, and what led you to become a president of an art school?
This is one of those serendipitous things that happen quite often in my life. I had retired from Morehouse College. Then I had retired as chairman of Bank of America, which I write about in this book. And I was here in Chicago, and a friend of mine, who I know, a colleague I've known for a while, asked would I be interested in doing something now that I was mostly retired here in Chicago. I wouldn't have to move. And I said, well, what is it? I thought I'd be asking if I'd maybe chair some group or commission or something part-time. I said, well, let's talk about it. And he said, well, do you know about the School of the Art Institute? I said, I do, I've heard of it, I don't know it well. So, well, the president there had just been asked to leave because he didn't really get along with the faculty. And they were not ready, it's only been there 2 years. They had a new provost, and they were not ready to go out and do another search. They wanted to wait. And would I be willing to come down on an interim basis as president? So I'm a physicist. So, well, yeah, that's fine. But you know about art, you've been at schools like Brown, Chicago, where they have art departments, California. And we just need someone to come down who knows how to lead organizations and calm things down. People are very upset. President left, faculty is upset. And I said, well, okay, let me talk to some people there to see how they feel, some of the faculty. And they were very welcoming. So that's how I went down. I thought it would be about a year. And after about 6 months, I got to know a lot of the faculty and the board members there, and they asked me would I stay. I said, really? So yeah, so they sort of liked me, I liked them. And it was a question of how do you learn new fields? Well, I met, almost constantly. I go to every department, sit down for an hour and say, explain to me, what is performance art? You know, what is it? How do you do it? How do you, and I'd go to other art therapy. I knew about it, but I didn't really understand art therapy. But I treated it like a student. I treated it as if I was going back to school. And the thing that turned out to be really great is I found that artists were a lot like scientists in many ways, very curious, very creative, very willing to do things differently. And so I didn't feel out of place. I felt I could understand the creative process. I could understand the way they thought, because I'd seen that in very creative scientists. And we began to develop programs in art and science, and now we were one of the best-known schools in the country that brings together programs in art and science. But it was really almost serendipitous that I actually got invited to go there. And then I stayed 6 years. I never expected that. I stayed 2 more years as chancellor, so I was there 8 years. I made so many new friends. I got involved in a whole new community of people whom I may have never known. So it was wonderful. Still is. I'm still involved in the community, of course.
Let's hear from someone else that we haven't heard from.
Hi, my name is Zoe. I am a junior at Kenwood, and I'm a painter, and I also dabble in photography and jewelry making. And I'm newer to YBA, but one of the main components of YBA is like leadership, and a lot of us want to go into like positions of leadership, and I was wondering, what's your advice for like us young leaders?
That's a very good question. I've thought a lot about it, written, in fact, a lot on leadership. And I find the most effective values. I'll show you a book here, which I think very interesting. This is a book, can you see that? Called How to Lead. Can you read it? Can you read it? Is it coming through on the camera?
We can see it. Yeah,
Okay.
it looks like there's
Yeah. It's a set of interviews that a guy named David Rubenstein, who's very well known, interviews people who are leaders in every field, from Oprah Winfrey to Bill Gates, just in any field. And I've written about that some in my writings. I think effective leaders are people who can convey to people who are working with them that they have the right values, integrity, honesty, and commitment to whatever they're set out to do, that other people will buy into. And no matter what you're trying to do, it's the people who work with and for you who are going to do it, unless you're an individual artist or scientist doing your own work. In an organization, you have to get the people to do the work. And the only way, not the only way, I think the best way I've found is they have to trust you. The guy named Bob Galvin, whose family founded Motorola, and I used to be on the board of Motorola, he would say, the job of a leader is to spread hope and build trust. You have to, within the organization, no matter how small, make sure that you are a person that people trust, they trust your judgment, they will follow you, they will work with you because they trust you, and that you are willing to put in the work that's required, and you set an example for them. I have been very fortunate over my life that I find that people really like to work with me. And I didn't understand why for a long time. I thought about it, and I think some of the things I just said is why. People like working for me, and they like working with me. And so it's been a great advantage to me when I'm in organizations that I'm leading. Give everybody else credit. Don't worry about it's coming to you.
That's a really powerful point that you bring up. Yes.
Are we doing on time, Jared? I'm the cook in the house, and I have to go cook dinner for my wife.
Yes.
So,
have like a little bit more time left.
Okay.
I want to again, yeah, we have about like 15 minutes left.
All right.
I wanted to hold space again for the YBA members that haven't asked a question yet.
Good.
There's just a few left.
I wanted to know, like, so, like, how was your experience at Morehouse? Because I'm like seriously considering going there. So, like, how would you say going to Morehouse affected the rest of your life? Because a lot of people say it's like a lifetime thing when you go there.
Well, it's changed my life. Everything I owe to going to Morehouse. I mean, that's a simple statement. Now, why is that true? First of all, it's a place where I really learned that I could learn. I never thought I was particularly smart when I went there. I found out I was because I had teachers who worked with me and brought out the best in me. So that's on the intellectual side. And I was imbued with habits that I think I know stood me well, throughout my life. That's it. Hard work, persistence, honesty and integrity, willingness to work with others, giving back to the community. Those are values that are just sort of rubbed into you at Morehouse. And there's a community of people who I've just been lifelong friends, like a big family. And then I went back as president, which was, I think, even better. My wife and I have traveled all over the world, literally. We had never gone anywhere, from in the jungles in Kenya to a mountain in South Africa, an art gallery in Amsterdam, the train in Paris. We almost never go anywhere with somebody, with a Morehouse man. And my wife has this feeling that if I'm ever in trouble anywhere in the world, I'll say, is there a Morehouse man anywhere? So you should go, all right?
I think we've heard from everyone except one person.
Yeah, me. Hi, my name's Nicole, and I'm
Hello.
a media artist. I go to Ogden, and I've done like a lot of work regarding like institutions, especially like art institutions and like inclusivity and stuff like that. So I wanted to ask about like your experience as like especially a person of color, like navigating in an art institution and how that experience is for you and like how inclusivity, I guess, or how you witness that within the art community that you're a part of. I don't know if that question makes sense, but
Yeah, it does, it does. Well, I'm sure, where are you in school?
oh, what grade am I in?
And where? You didn't say which school.
Oh, we're at Ogden.
Oh, maybe you did. I think, unfortunately, that's been an issue in the art world. Probably as much or maybe more than in the science community or maybe in other communities I've found. Navigating through art institutions, especially museums, major galleries and the like, have not been, they maybe have been open, but they've not been as encouraging or welcoming or inclusive. And I think if you're seeing that a lot of changes are happening in some of the major national museums, some even here in Chicago, especially in the curatorial staff, where there have been very few African American or even curators of any color in some of the major institutions, and Black artists have not been as easy to have their shows done, have their art collected. That's changing a lot. I think you're coming along at just the right time, frankly. That is, I know, growing recognition of the importance of art by African Americans, people looking back historically to sort of rediscover artists that have been long overlooked. And I think it's a good time. I don't mean there are going to be any challenges. and they would be there. But I think if you're going to pick any time to be entering the art world, you will find that doors are probably going to open a lot easier than they have been open over the last several years, the last several decades.
I think about so much, Walter, how we have had the internet to assemble communities to support us through microaggressions, oppression that's more institutional or systemic. And, you know, you're someone that's had this amazing interdisciplinary career that spans beyond the sort of time of the internet that we've grown accustomed to, and as the internet kind of matures and develops. And so I'm wondering if you can sort of lastly speak to maybe some survival techniques that you think of as like timeless techniques, so that maybe if we lose the internet, we can still figure out how we can survive as we keep trying to break down barriers and you know, promote inclusivity and equity and restitution for all the wrongdoings that have happened. What are some of the things that have kept you afloat when you maybe were the only person of color in the room or the only Black man in a space?
It's a good question. And there are various, I don't think there are any tried and true techniques, but I think there are things you really have to have if you're going to get through those situations in life. Then you have to have confidence in yourself. And I was saying earlier, that developed in me a lot at Morehouse. And I don't mean an arrogance, but if you don't, you have to believe, yes, I can do this. I am fine. You know, I'm just as good as that person. And you have to work on believing that. It's easy to say that. That's one. Second, you need friends, the community, and the family. If you don't have the family, growing up, having a family, and then friends and colleagues, people with whom you can talk when you need to, when you're in a situation where you feel you are having difficulty navigating it. And the third is, I think I didn't realize this until I started looking back. I think you have to be, you don't have to be. I was a little, hard-shelled. I just didn't let a lot of things bother me. You know, I've been asked, well, you must have been subjected to a lot of racism here, there, and there. And I probably was. And in many cases, I'm sure I was, and I probably didn't even know it. That I didn't know people were doing things, because I tried not to focus on that. I was focused on what I had to get done, you know, what I could do. And I have had on a couple of occasions, someone would say, well, didn't you see how that person looked at you? And I know. And I did not. And did you see that, what they did? And what did they do? Well, they did this. They didn't wait on you right away or something. I said, really? I didn't. I've got myself to a point where I just refuse to allow other people to affect my mood all the time. I mean, if your mood is, you ever heard of the Brownian effect? Anybody ever take this? Einstein discovered it. If you look underwater in a fluid, you see things sort of bubbling around. It's called the Brownian effect because the molecules are hitting other molecules and they move around. And you don't want to be caught in a Brownian effect where everything you do is subject to everybody else's impulses or comments or things. So those are some of the techniques. Now I'm what do they call it? Internet immigrant. I said I wasn't born digital. I don't think I'm not even a naturalized digital citizen. I'm still struggling in the social media world. But I have grandchildren, so my tutors.
Walter, thank you so much for being with us today. I don't want to hold you up for dinner.
Thank you.
What is for dinner?
Wait a minute. I'm cooking beef back ribs, which I cooked and reheated, which takes about 4 or 5 hours, because I did them a few days ago, so I have to go reheat them.
That sounds amazing. Well, again, I want to thank you for being here with us and just sharing space. It's unique that we get to have access to someone like you, and just, I think, hopefully more intergenerational conversations, be it on this platform, or maybe you'll have to come by and visit us when we open back up in physical space again. But we really appreciate you and all the work that you do.
I would love that, but I'd like to change the format next time, maybe in person. I really would like to hear your stories. Okay?
Deal. We can make it happen.
Okay. All right. Take care, guys.
Yeah. Bring the ribs.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Walter.
Luciera, you're muted.
Thank you. Just thanking everyone so much for joining us today for our virtual Center Sundays and our teen takeover today. I really just want to take the time out to thank all of the teens for contributing to this program today and for generating ideas and wanting to be in conversation. It is our hope in all of our future virtual Center Sundays that we include a teen program, because they have a lot of ideas and they definitely have really great voices that need to be heard. Do we have any comments or questions to anyone in the audience who's still here about any of the programs today or the Walter Macy interview? Thank you so much to Jared, Mia, and Alex for leading the charge with these teens and mentoring them so that they can continue to connect and make great work and grow into inspiring adults as well. So thank you all so much for tuning in. Please let people know that they can tune in every first Sunday of the month to our Center Sundays activities. We also put all of our information and recaps on our YouTube channel. I'm going to share the YouTube channel here for you guys because we have a ton of content from past Center Sundays and just programming in general. If you're here now and you missed the exhibition tour from earlier, that will be on there as well. If you want to share any content, you can check it out here. And please do make sure to follow the teens. They have their own Instagram at HPAC Teens on Instagram. Thank you all so much. Enjoy your Sunday, and we'll see you next month. Thanks.